Alright, Cassidy, let's take a look at your essay. I want to start by looking at the introduction. I pulled it up in a Word doc to talk about a few different things and maybe some ways to tweak it that I think you could benefit from. So, the first I want to talk about is how you start the essay. People all over the world can act strangely at different points in time. So it's a way to introduce your essay, but I think it's a little borderline in the sense of that it can be a little bit better. And one of the ways I told you not to introduce the essay is to I think I gave this to your honors class. Please forgive me if I didn't. But one of the ways you don't want to do it is to be kind of this broad sense of history of time. But I think you can combine these two sentences to make it a little bit better of an introduction. And you could say, what could we say? You could say, until recent times, people have not been able to understand some of the strange fits that others would go into throughout the world. And then, actually, we're going to tweak this into two sentences. They would copy other people's actions and act in bizarre ways that had not been seen before. I think this phrases it a little bit better than what you have. I think the thing is, this is just a little bit awkward with how you have it set up. And then as it transitions, it goes into new research shows it's because of mass hysteria, and then you want to put a comma, which is when people get very upset by a threatening idea, that the idea starts threatening idea. Okay, you're going to need to do something different here. So maybe a comma, which is when people get very upset by a threatening idea. And then that idea starts to take over no matter if it's real or imaginary. I think this is a little cleaned up a little bit better. I think you're just missing a few commas here and there. And all this is good. I think this gets a little bit repetitive, even though we tweaked it here. It can be a little bit repetitive with people continue to copy them, so maybe you can get rid of that. And then, let's take a look. The crucible, it's fine if you talk about it, but I don't think you necessarily need to have the examples just yet in your introduction. Sometimes you can have it, but because the way you have it set up, I would maybe make it one sentence where an example of this is Arthur Miller's The Crucible, where folks in the Salem witch trials, blah, 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 whatever it is. So then you can do that and then say, as evident through the crucible and whatever else, human nature is more potent in creating mass hysteria. It's not media that prompts it. And then this is better. So overall, looking at what you had before, hold on. You can pause this here if you would like. Looking at what you had, as I'm backing up. This is not a bad introduction. I think you just need to tweak it up. I think you have some comma concerns that I looked at with you. I think your wording could be improved a little bit in some different ways. And then I would get rid of the crucible stuff in the middle. But other than that, not a bad way to start. I just think you need to tweak some things around. Alright, so as we move on to your next body paragraph, what I'm noticing right away is I think... let me take a look. You have some long paragraphs, which is fine, but I don't think you necessarily need them to be as long. And I think, looking at your intro, the biggest thing that you may want to work on is making your essay more precise. Instead of relying so much on examples and analysis, which obviously you want to do, but I think your words are just getting a little bit long-winded. So if you look at this, your topic sentence is good. You talk about people target each other as a result of mass hysteria. Excuse me. And then when you say in Halifax, England, you want a comma after that, and you talk about the women claiming they were attacked by a man. And then right here, this is very hypothetical, and this is where it gets kind of in a gray area and a hard area to talk about with argumentative essays, because you want to use the text to drive your essay. Okay, forgive me, Cassidy, it's the end of the day, school day, and I just had someone come into my room. So I know I was talking about evidence and hypothetical, so I don't remember what I said, and I don't know what I was about to say just now, and I'm recording this in the software, so I can't really go back and look without restarting. So anyways, this is very hypothetical, and you want to be careful with hypotheticals, like, what if this happened, or what if this? Instead, just phrase it in a way that says, they were not sure what happened, but it's possible or plausible that they reacted in some certain kind of way. And then you could just say this was human nature because it's typical for someone to be mad at another person, want them punished. Maybe rephrase it in a way that it's human nature for us to join on a bandwagon of things. I think that's a better way of putting it. If you even think back to, our propaganda lesson, yes, of the bandwagon, that'll be better. And then right here, I think this is what makes it long, is you basically have two examples. You have, which is fine, but you have a lot going on with here's this, and then here is this whole other example about rumors. I think you can shorten this a lot. I think you want to work on shortening the paragraphs, or maybe, you know what, Cassidy, I think that what would make this better, just make this rumor into a separate paragraph, and I think that'll just improve your essay. It's over the 5 paragraph, but I said you could do that, so maybe that's something you can do, because that will separate the ideas from rumors into bandwagon. Actually, I like that a lot. Consider that. Make the first part bandwagon and the second part about rumors, because even though this isn't necessarily with the text, you have other evidence, and this is some prior knowledge that you can integrate into your essay, which I think is fine. So if we look at your topic sentence, targeting each other because of mass hysteria, and we move on, second reason media is causing mass hysteria is because people want to be like those who are classified as popular. Okay, so hold on. Now I'm confused. Human nature is more potent in creating mass hysteria. But then you say a second reason media is causing mass hysteria. Let me skim through this paragraph. I'm going to pause this and then come back with my recording. Alright, so in this body paragraph, I think you just have a typo. A second reason that human nature is causing is more potent for mass hysteria is this. And what I'm noticing in your writings, you have a lot of redundancy as well. Instead of saying in the play The Crucible, you could just say, for instance, in The Crucible, Abigail was the oldest of, instead of women's, maybe say younger girls, because you do have like Elizabeth and Mrs. Nurse and Goody Goody, who are all women, so she's the oldest of all the younger girls. So all this is pretty good. You have some good evidence. I think you could do a little bit more analysis, and you need a better transition right here. You could say, in addition to Salem, mass hysteria occurs with little girls in examples like in places like Gross Tins, because the transition right here isn't quite from school to school, it's Salem to a school, so you kind of miss where that transition is and what connects these two examples, which would be little girls. And then right here, you're getting a little bit with the hypothetical as well. And what I would encourage you to do is, even though this is an example, this does play into your analysis, because you have these specific examples, boom, 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 and then you can talk about, for analysis, what the one doctor says in the article. Forgive me, I can't remember what it is, but she talks about being in a school play and how they just respond to the popular girl. So try to phrase it in a way that's not, and I think it's just the word phrasing, they could have, some may have, just talk about how we don't know for sure, but likely it is something. And I think it's just how you phrase it, they could have. It's not as strong of a word, so be aware of that phrasing. So right here, when you talk about this paragraph, it is pretty good. You start off with kind of a prior knowledge thing, and how people use songs with it. But I think this is good, is you contrast it with people did not download this because the media, they download it because they want to fit in with everyone around them. It happens by instinct, and you're kind of repeating that idea. I also noticed I don't think I noticed this, or sorry, noted it in the previous paragraph, but you do have quite a few contractions that you want to take care of. Human nature isn't the same for everybody, but they will have similar instincts that make them act a certain way without even thinking about it. And then with your conclusion, human nature is more potent. Sorry, hold on. I need to back up. So this is pretty good. The only thing I would say is when you get to the latter half of your essay with the opposing side and a little bit with what slipped before, what you could do is, I think you're just lacking in specific examples from the text. So it's good when you have some prior knowledge, and you do have some good examples here, but I think especially what drives your argumentative essays are those texts, and specifically the articles in the Crucible for this essay in particular. And there's a contraction there. But anyways, even though you have these specific examples, you're kind of lacking in the analysis there, and I can see a number of different ways that you can incorporate the text that you have for class into this, so this is a little bit stronger. So just something to be aware of. So overall, human nature is more prone in the media because it causes people to target an individual or act like someone who they classify as popular. Repeat a thesis, good. Recapping it, think about it, people act differently all the time without even knowing they're doing so, and then just put a period here. You do have a comma splice here. Mass hysteria is the result of it. Maybe make this into a stronger way to leave your readers with it. Maybe talk about mass hysteria is a poison that is prompted by human nature. I don't know. Something that really shows us that mass hysteria is really perpetrated by this human nature. But overall, Kassidy, grammar-wise, I'm noticing contractions and some comma issues, whether that's you need them or you have a comma splice. Your opposing side, you need to refute it with some more specific details and analysis from the articles instead of those kind of hypothetical, not necessarily hypothetical, but those songs examples and how you have the prior knowledge. I think overall you could just use some more, I suppose, details and analysis that come from the essays and articles overall. Okay?